Welcome back, Global War in 1939. We are moving on to Germany's seventh turn of the game, and we're actually entering the mid-game officially now. And in my opinion, it's the most critical point. This is turn 7, 8, 9. If you're the Axis, this is where you're going to win or lose the game. So you have to be very careful what you're doing, where you're positioning, the battles you engage in, and of course, the outcome of those battles play a very important role. So you want to be extremely careful, but you still want to continuously put pressure on the Allies. You don't want to let up, because now that the Americans are involved and they're making their presence in the Pacific, they're gearing up in the Atlantic. Things can get very scary or go downhill for us very quickly if we're not careful. And even I can see D-Day happening. You know, Britain's producing a lot in here the last couple turns. Between the Americans and the British, they have 12 transports in the Atlantic. And basically, the only thing they're missing is tanks and artillery. It's not going to take them long to produce that, so we need to be very careful. So, with D-Day, there's two ways we can handle it. We can continuously invest into our army, allow them to land in France, and then counterattack, pushing them back in the ocean. Or we can invest into a navy, re-engage the Battle of the Atlantic for the second time, and then hopefully win. What that will do, it'll force the Allies to produce battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. Doesn't really matter as long as they're not producing more transports, infantry, artillery, then they can't even land in France, and then buying us time to build up our army to prevent D-Day from even happening. So that's going to be our approach. So with our purchase, we do have 150 to spend. Mind you, 49 of it is Russian money that we stole, so we're not going to get 150 every turn. But let's take advantage of what we can. Sweden joined, which gave us 2 coastal battleships. They're not really the greatest. However, if utilized correctly, they do sustain a damage. So if utilized correctly, they become very effective. So we're going to add to that the 5 more subs to go to 6 we produced last turn. 2 destroyers, a cruiser, and a Bismarck battleship, which is slightly better than the British battleship for the same price point. 2 transports. Now, the transport, we don't even really want these transports. However, with the invasion of Scandinavia with the Russians, and they do have a pretty sizable army in Valpuri, putting a lot of pressure on Helsinki. I see that being captured next turn. And then they're continuing on their march into the rest of Scandinavia, which does have a lot of money tied up for us, and we do not want that. The transports will allow us to land fresh reinforcements in that area in front of the Russians, slowing them down and preventing them from even getting to Oslo, if that's their goal. And then we have a chasing army, but the chasing army is 2 spaces behind. So we need to figure out a way to slow them down and allow those infantry tanks to catch up and then destroy them. So that's the whole point of those transports. We're also going to get our 3 heavy tanks we can get. 1 Tiger tank, which is all we're allowed to buy per round. 2 Mark 5s. There are 8 each. Very expensive, but very effective. Heavy artillery, advanced infantry, 2 regular artillery, 5 infantry, and then 3 military bases. Again, that's the most we can have. And the military bases, the whole idea of that is right now our supply lines are really far. Any new units, it takes 2 turns to get to the front lines. So these military bases will cut that time down. And of course, our allies are producing for us. Romania, Hungary, Finland, and Bulgaria is getting another self-propelled artillery. And I can very much see this being our last turn with getting a Finnish infantry. Depending on what the Russians do, actually. So, now for our actual turns, we have about 6 battles to declare, 3 of which are in the Soviet Union, 1 down in the Middle East. So Iraq did declare war on the Allies, and they did join on our side, so we need to liberate our ally. And luckily the Russians backed out, only defending with 1 British infantry. Leningrad and Stalingrad are open to being attacked. Again, only being defended with 1 infantry each. Stalingrad does have a fort, so it's slightly more tricky. By taking these three territories, the biggest benefit, it'll remove 2 of the Russian bonuses. Right now they're collecting an extra 11, so that puts them in the $40-odd range. They're making way too much money, so we need to heavily reduce that. Getting rid of these bonuses will help us in that endeavor. And then the last attack in this area will be Novgorod. So we're going to take that out as well. Should we? Or just pile up in Leningrad? Yeah, let's go into Novgorod. And then we got 2 more battles over here. If we are going to engage in the Battle of the Atlantic, we need a way to get out of the Atlantic. They are putting up a blocker with the destroyer, so we're going to take that out. Luckily, we can do that with a coastal sub that we inherited from Sweden, and then the Romanian Finnish fighter will engage that battle as well. The fighters have a range of 5, 1, 2, 3, 2 left over, and we got plenty of spots to land. So from here, and then we're going to be bombing London. We cannot allow London continuously have a staging area for the D-Day battle if they are going down that route, by bombing their factory with the whole intent is to max out their the amount of damage we can do, which is 25, which then will only leave them with 1 factory in that region. And then this goes into the whole, if they want to use that factory, they have to spend a lot of money, and they're only making $40-odd. So if we could get them to spend 25, that gets them spend money how we want them to spend it, not necessarily how they want, which will help our cause. So with the bombing raid, now there is a fighter there, so they will have an interceptor, so we have to be careful of that. So the way interceptors work is your attacking force comes in, interceptors come up, try to shoot down a bomber, just like the AA guns. The fighters engage for 1 round of combat only. AA gun fires, and whatever survives out of both of that, then that's what's conducting the actual raid. So what we're going to bring all of our bombers. So we have 4 in Yugoslavia. So they're going to come up to London. They have a range of 7 because of the military base. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a range of 2 left. Can easily land in Western Germany. The 2 heavy bombers are coming, of course, as we definitely need them, as they have two dice at 6 with bombing raids. So they have a range of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4 left over, and then the bomber from Paris is also coming in as well. Again, range of 7, 1, 2, 3, range of 4 left. Now for the interceptor, we got 4 tacticals in Western Germany, so they're going to come in. So instead of that interceptor now fighting the bombers, they're going to be fighting the tacticals instead. So even if they shoot one down, I'd rather lose a tactical over a bomber at this stage. So that's the West. For Iraq, it's everything in Transjordan is going to move up 1 into Iraq. So 8 infantry, airborne, 2 light tanks, medium tank, artillery, fighter. So that's figured out. Now for Russia, these battles here. For Stalingrad, from the 6th Army, we're going to take out 2 infantry, an artillery, a tank destroyer is going to go into Stalingrad. That should be enough. We're hoping for 1 round of combat only. So that'll be the fort and infantry in the Stalingrad. Up north, for Novgorod, we're going to bring in 2 medium tanks from Pskov, mech, artillery, and then from the 7th Army, we're going to bring in an infantry. And then the rest of the 7th Army is going to go in the Leningrad, which is 5 infantry, 6 medium tanks, and 1 more infantry from Pskov. That should be enough. Yeah. Okay. So that's our battles all planned out, and the rest will be non-combat. So let's do the bombing raid first, I guess. Okay, so the interceptor battle first. Now, all fighters have an interceptor value. That's different from their normal attack. Tacticals have a value of 1. Normal fighters, a 3. Now, this is a Spitfire, so which is essentially the same stats as a veteran fighter. So they have an interceptor value of 4. All right, so the tacticals, 4 at 1. Landed a 1, 11, 11, 2. Oh my goodness, I wasn't even expecting that. That's crazy. And then the fighter at Eve returns fire. So he got a 2. So the fighter is killed, but so is a tactical. And the other 3 tacticals will land in... we'll figure that out in the non-combat phase, but more likely Western Germany. Now the AA gun fires. 7. We had 7 bombers, so he gets 7 dice. So let's figure this out. Oh my goodness gracious. 6, 3, 5, 8, 10, 5, 7. You got all that? Wow. Everything survives. Oh my goodness. This is like perfect storm. I was expecting at least 2 losses with all these bombers. Alright, so bombing raid. So we had 2 dice per event or heavy bomber. And then we have 5 dice for the medium bombers. Just a second. I didn't even have all the dice over here because I didn't think I'd need that many. So that's 9 dice. So the max we can sustain is 25. A lot of low numbers here. A lot of the low numbers. 1 fell off. It's a 2. I don't think it's going to matter. So that's 5, 10, 15, 19, 21, 25. So we're 2 over. So the 2 doesn't do anything. So the factory gets max damage of 25, which is exactly what we wanted. And then the bombers, again, they'll move in the non-combat phase, but more likely end up in Western Germany. Let's do the naval conflict. So we got a coastal sub, a destroyer, 2 fighters. The fighters at 6s, 2 8. So we got our hit. He returns with a 3, so he kills the sub, which is fine. And that's the whole reason of bringing the coastal sub, so we didn't lose the fighters. And again, we'll move them in the non-combat. Again, most likely Western Germany. Iraq, let's do that battle. So we got a medium tank, 2 light tanks, and a veteran fighter. So the fighter at 7, got a 6. He returns with a 2. So we lose 1 infantry. And that veteran fighter will land in Cairo in the non-combat phase. Let's do Stalingrad. Now, because of the fort, everything gets reduced by 1. And his infantry gets increased by 1. So, infantry at 1. Got a 4. 2 at 2. 4, 8. And then tank destroyer at 6. Got a 7. Oh my goodness. Disaster. So he gets 3 in return because of the fort. 5, 5, 6. Oh my goodness. Super disaster. So we lose 2 guys. The fort goes away. He gets reduced. All of ours get increased. This is not good. All right, 1 at 3. Got a 6. 1 at 7. Got a 1. All right, good. He returns with a 5. Okay. So we survived with 2 units. Not the most ideal. The airbase and the factory get destroyed. So that's all gone. And we captured Stalingrad with 2 units. The counterattack I'm expecting to come. We'll probably switch that back. Leningrad, we got 6 infantry, 6 tanks. So the tanks at 6. Fighting 1 lone infantry. So we got a 1, 7, 6, 5. He's defending with 1 infantry. Got a 6, so nothing. So we capture the Stalingrad or Leningrad with the 7th Army. And then the last battle, which is Novgorod. And again, he's got 1 infantry defending. So tanks at 6. Both hit. And return with a 5. Okay. So we got away with there. Stalingrad was really the biggest disaster. Also, losing a unit in Iraq is not ideal, but just because it's harder to reinforce that area of the map. All right, all of our fighters and bombers, yeah, they're all going to go back to Western Germany. I'll have to clean this up after the fact. But that's all in Western Germany now with the 1st German Army, 1st Air Wing, non-combat. We have 2 air transports in Cairo. They have a range of 5. They're going to come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going to land in Yugoslavia. They're safe there. They don't have any transports in range. And they don't have an Air Force to get at them. So they're pretty safe there. Even though they're undefended, but that's fine. We have cavalry in Marseille. That's going to come down to Yugoslavia. The 2 mechs in Paris. They're going to come down to this most northern Italian territory. And then the cavalry in Holland is going to come down to Marseille. Infantry in Reims is going to come up to cover off Holland. And then we're good from here. Paris is still damaged for 4, so we can't produce there. Over in Russia, so the 3rd German Army, which consists of, we'll figure that out in a second, actually. Everything in Moscow is going to come down to the 6th German Army, so that's 4 tanks, 3 infantry, and artillery. The tank in Olar-Kursk is going to join the 6th Army. The 2 tanks in Belarusia, they're going to join the 6th Army. The mech also going into the 6th Army. The four advanced infantry in Western Russia, and the 3rd Army is going to go into Moscow to defend that. And then the rest of the 3rd Army is going to jump down with the 6th. So that's 4 tanks, 4 artillery, and 4 advanced mechs. I think that's all the major movements. Now we got to cover off all these land territories. So the advanced infantry in Pskov is going to go to West Germany. Smolensk is going to go to Olar-Kursk. The 2 infantry in Poland is going to cover off Pskov and Belarusia. Western Ukraine is going to go to Eastern Ukraine, and then the 4 infantry in Romania will go into Western Ukraine. The self-propelled artillery in Bulgaria is also going to go into Ukraine. And the 2 guys in Hungary are going to go to Poland. And I think everything's covered. There's not going to be any partisans pop up, which is, we don't want that at all. Up in Finland, or Scandinavia as a whole. Let's see what we're going to do with Scandinavia as a whole. The entire Swedish army is going to go into Oslo. And this is, we're just trying to consolidate our army together in one big group to fight this Russian army in Puri. If it comes down this way, the airborne is also going to go to Oslo. And then 1 guy from Helsinki is going to come up in Turin. And I think we're good. I think we're good. Now, one last non-combat move. The Americans decided to attack a neutral country of Argentina. Now, its axis leaning neutral, so they have every right, I guess. The Brazilian Navy, Argentinian Navy fought on the American turn, and then mutual destruction. Only the transport survived. So that's going to move 2 spaces from 61, and that's going to come down to 63. If it stays over in this area over here, it's going to get killed anyways. At least here they have a slight chance of surviving. But that is all the non-combat. Unit placement. The 3 military bases. I'm going to put that in Russia. So 1 in Olar-Kursk, 1 in Eastern Ukraine, and 1 in Moscow. Yeah. I don't know about that. Korkov, I guess. With the 6th Army. Over here, the Navy has to be built in Sea Zone 18. 18, yes. So the battleship has to be built from the major factory. In Western Germany... Oh, hanging out. Before we start placing, we've got a few more non-combat moves. The 2 trains that are in Western Germany... sorry about this. I forgot about this. 2 trains in Western Germany. 1 is going to end up in Bulgaria. The advanced infantry in Bulgaria is going to move up to Romania. The other train bringing down 2 advanced mechs is going to end up in Romania. So we have 2 trains, 6 units that can get them to the front line if need be. All right, now we're done with movements. Continuing on with the unit placement. So the battleship has to be built from Western Germany. The advanced infantry, heavy artillery will also go into Western Germany. So that's 3 out of our 10 slots. The 5 subs. The cruiser and destroyer. So that's all 10 slots in Western Germany. And then we got 2 transports. Destroyer will be built out of Stettin. The 2 artillery and 5 infantry will go into Berlin. I would rather go into Paris, but Paris is inoperable. But that's fine. That's fine. And then the 3 tanks will go in Romania, I guess. Okay, so we'll try to get this to the front line as fast as possible. Bulgaria is going to produce their own self-propelled artillery. Hungary gets an infantry. Romania gets 2 infantry. And then Finland gets their own. All right. So that is it for the Germans. Income. Okay, so for income, land territories, we're collecting 91. And then our bonuses, we're getting 6 bonuses for a total of 22. So 113 total to spend on the next turn. All right, so that is it for Germany. Moving on to the Japanese. All right, well, thank you for watching. Have yourself a great day.